thanks for taking the time out to come and listen to me. I really appreciate it. My name is Blair Wilson. I'm the president and CEO of Forbidden Spirits Distillery. This is an actual picture of our distillery that was opened in 2014. As you can see, we've got a tasting room, a patio, outdoor grass area, and it's just gorgeous in Kelowna. Kelowna is about 4 hours outside of Vancouver. It's the Napa Valley of Canada, so we must have about 150 wineries all around us. So quick little summary of Forbidden Spirits. While I put the capitalization table up there for everybody so that you got your numbers straight ahead. We just recently went public on the Toronto Stock Exchange on December 20th. We did a reverse takeover of a CPC shell, did a $3.6 million financing, and listed our shares on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol VDKA. We've got, as you can see from the share structure there, there's 59 million shares issued and outstanding. We did our raise at 30 cents a share. The stock closed today at 10 cents a share. So it's an incredible buying opportunity now at 10 cents a share versus the 30 cents a share that we raised. But from a corporate point of view, we've got the cash in the bank and we've got enough to execute for the next 18 to 24 months. So for us, it's still all steam ahead. Just a sort of a quick overview of the economics of the distilling business. We've got our REBEL Vodka right now that is made 100% from BC apples, gluten-free, non-GMO. Our gross profit margins on a bottle of REBEL Vodka is about 50%, and that's about industry standard. So, we're not shooting the lights out at a 50% gross profit margin, and usually comes with about a 10% net income margin. Part of the reason that the alcohol is such a profitable business is that when you take a look at one of our bottles, REBEL Vodka, it says 40% alcohol. What that really means is 60% water. So 60% of what you're paying for a $45 bottle of vodka is water. So for us to have 50% margins is sort of industry average, and we should be able to grow those significantly. Our sales forecast for this year for just Forbidden Spirits Distillery, just our distillery in Kelowna, is $4 million. And if you put that into perspective as to the size of the alcohol market in Canada, our $4 million in sales, British Columbia, where the market that we're in right now, does $600,000 a day in vodka sales. Alberta, which is the province next closest to us, which we plan on moving into, does $500,000 worth of vodka sales per day. Ontario is probably the most interesting marketplace and the biggest marketplace in Canada. They do about $1.6 million a day in vodka sales. We just recently signed a letter of intent to acquire a distillery in Ontario, Niagara Falls Distillery. Great little distillery, did about $9 million in sales last year, 900,000 EBITDA. We're buying them for $4 million cash and 800,000 shares, and management is staying in place. So it's a great acquisition. It's a great acquisition from an economic point of view, but it's also a great acquisition from a strategic growth point of view. We're British Columbia based, and we manufacture in BC, so we get preferential tax treatment in British Columbia. I'm a retired CPA by profession, so I'm heavy on the tax side. In Ontario, with the acquisition, we'll be manufacturing our same REBEL Vodka, but in Ontario, and it will say REBEL Vodka distilled and manufactured in Ontario. REBEL Vodka distilled and manufactured in BC. So that'll give us a good segue into the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. The LCBO is the largest purchaser of alcohol on the planet. So if you're an alcohol company, you want to be in Ontario. We also, subsequent to us putting this PowerPoint together, are having discussions with another small craft distillery in Montreal, and hopefully we can push those discussions a little bit further. And I'd love to buy that company in Montreal. They're doing about $5 million in sales, about $500,000 EBITDA, and they're in the SAQ, which is the equivalent of the LCBO in Quebec. And again, we can make this acquisition because we've got cash and we've got capital in the form of shares to offer these companies. But one of the attractive reasons for us to buy them is because they have access to distribution, access to the LCBO. So our go-to-market plan for 2022 to hit our numbers are 1,000 cases in Alberta, 3,000 cases in BC, and 3,000 cases in Ontario. We've also got international expansion plans underfoot as well. We signed a distribution deal with a company out of Ireland that has distribution ability in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. So we're working on a special made in Canada Wallace Hill Whisky that we've been aging in barrels for 3 years. In order to sell whiskey in Canada, it has to be aged in a barrel for 3 years. So we've been putting whiskey down every year. It's now coming to fruition. We'll be able to take that whiskey out of the barrel, bottle it, and probably about 80% of our production will be pre-sold into the Chinese market. They love everything Canadian, and they're big whiskey drinkers. We've also got a distribution agreement in Amsterdam as well. We've been making a few road trips back and forth into Germany and the different EU countries. Canada's got a lot of free trade agreements between Canada and the EU, so we can ship product back and forth quite easily. And with this slide here, we're working with Romania. That's actually expanded, and we're actually working with 6 other EU countries, utilizing an agreement that we've got with a distributor in Amsterdam. They've got a duty-free warehouse. We can ship them a small 20-foot container holding 10 pallets of our REBEL Vodka, 64 cases per pallet. They'll accept it in Amsterdam, put it in their warehouse, and they've got ground transportation to send it to a nightclub in Berlin if that's where we want it to go. We're also in the process now of doing an $8 million secured convertible debenture. It's an 8% coupon, 36 months. Converts into the shares of Forbidden Spirits at 30 cents a share, so the investor has the ability to get an 8% yield, watch the stock, and if in the next 3 years it trades over 30 cents, they're in the money and they can convert. If at the end of 3 years they don't want to convert, we'll be happy to pay off the note and give them their money back. They can have the 8% return that they've had over the 3-year period. It's secured in the way that we're setting up a wholly owned 100% subsidiary from Forbidden Spirits, and that wholly owned subsidiary is going to be the one that acquires the 100% equity in Niagara Falls Distillery. And then that subsidiary company is going to pledge all its shares to the convertible debenture holders. So in case anything goes sideways, the convertible debenture holders as a group can collectively secure against the actual distillery in Ontario that we're buying. $9 million in sales. They did $9 million in sales last year. 900,000 EBITDA. They will be audited before we close on the transaction. And good timing, because this slide here just basically breaks down Forbidden's 2002 expected financial statements married with Niagara's 2002 statements. And we had to do this for the bank just to be able to show them that the $8 million at 8%, the $640,000 in interest that we have to pay, that we've got enough debt service coverage to be able to cover that payment. And for 2022, 2023, 2024, we're covered. And this doesn't include any other acquisitions except doing the one acquisition of Niagara and then bolting it on. As I said, we have three strategies on growth. One of them was to acquire Niagara. That's sort of target A, which we've completed. We're working on closing the Montreal, and then the C target. We're talking to a small distillery in Edmonton, Alberta, that is doing about $2 million in sales, but will be a good leg up for us to sort of get into that marketplace. One of the other things we're doing is expanding our product line into the canned beverage ready-to-drink market, which is an exploding marketplace. I think RTD growth rate in North America is up 45% year to date. It's been doing 45% for the last 2 or 3 years. We already make the vodka. We already make the gin. We just have to buy a canning line to be able to put the vodka and the soda together and the gin and tonic together. That's another sort of positive reason of why this Niagara acquisition is so important to us. They have 4 canning lines right now, and 70% of their revenue comes from canning other people's products like Bacardi and Mott's Clamato juice. 2 of their canning lines are a little bit older. We're going to move those to our new warehouse that we're building in British Columbia, and we'll probably save about $450,000 on those canning lines. As part of the acquisition of Niagara as well, too, we've promised to invest $2 million into their business by way of buying a new $2 million high-speed canning line. We're taking 2 of their 4 lines and moving those to British Columbia, so I think it's only fair that we provide them with a higher speed canning line. And about 50% of that canning line's capacity for next year has already been pre-sold. So the canning business as well, it's just exploding due to the fact that the next generation would rather drink their alcohol in cans as opposed to have a martini shaken for them. This slide here just quickly shows we've got a really diverse and supportive board of directors. Christy Miller, Eugene Hodson, Maya Canigan, Therese, who's also is our CFO, and myself. Nice the fact that we've got 3 women and 2 men gives us a lot of perspective. It actually works out really well for us because between our vodka and our gin, we've got an Eves gin that we came out with as well. The Eves gin outsells our vodka 3-to-1, and our sales mix is about 60% women, 40% men. So the makeup of our board of directors, I think, reflects the actual sales of our product, which I think is pretty good. 5 reasons to invest in Forbidden Spirits. I think number 1 is, this was when I wrote this slide, the stock had dropped to 12 cents, so now the stock's dropped to 10 cents. So you just made 20% on your investment while you're waiting. The other aspect is, even during COVID, our sales went up. Canada, the United States deemed alcohol as an essential service. So, I think when there's good times, people drink, and when there's bad times, people drink. And so I think, between alcohol, tobacco, and caffeine, you've got a pretty good business model. So I'm just saying there on point number 2, sales are increasing, and they're increasing everywhere. Number 3, as I said, we're in the process of completing a distribution agreement with mainland China, Macau, and Hong Kong. Most likely will be Macau. There's a bit of disruption that's going on right now in mainland China, and that will be probably 80% of our whiskey sales will be going to China. We've got the LOI signed with Niagara. I think Niagara is an incredible acquisition. It fits exactly with us on a number of fronts, not just economic, but culturally. Andy, who's the CEO of the company, I want to actually make our chief operating officer and oversee all the operations. He's a great operator, and we've got a 3-year management contract with him and his team to not go anywhere. And the last is, we've got an ability to acquire companies, being a public company, using our shares. But we've also got the ability to raise debenture money and use collateral of these companies that we're buying, and also be able to convert into a share price that is going to fluctuate up and down, hopefully to the benefit of all the debenture holders. I think that actually covers everything. I know a few of you in the room have already had the same discussion, so I apologize if you heard the same stories more than once, but I'll just sort of open it up for Q&A.
No apology necessary. That was fantastic. I only have 2 small questions. What is the minimum investment to the $8 million raise that you discussed? And also, do you in Kelowna, which I've been reported from twice, have any special rights like Bourbon County where you have bourbon or things like that, where they can say that, champagne, bourbon, things like that?
To answer your first question, I think the only limitation we have is they have to be sophisticated investors. So probably around $150,000 minimum investment is probably standard for everybody else.
Perfect answer. Just like the rest of you.
Hey, thanks very much. And then the last question, I don't think we do have anything like that, but Canada's got a good copyright trademark laws, so all our names, the logo that we have there, which is sort of a stylized apple press, but some people think it's an inverted cross. We've got that trademarked as well too. And so as we come up with the different products, and we'll make sure that we collect security on our IP.
Fair enough.
Thank you. We're going to having samples upstairs at 6 o'clock. We are downstairs at 6 o'clock. We have a limited supply of vodka and gin, but I think we have enough for everybody in the room. So I think if you said you were at the presentation, you'd probably get preferential treatment to the front of the line. Yeah.
All the acquisitions and all that you have contemplated, when you say you won't need to raise any new debt, post the venture, right? So check to have that right.
No, we won't have to raise for the debt. So we're doing an $8 million raise. Use of proceeds $4 million to do the acquisition, $2 million to buy the high-speed canning line. So that takes us to 6. And then we're paying a 6% brokerage fee and a 6% broker warrant on the deal. Take that off. Probably it leaves us with about $1.2 million to add to our working capital.
But that includes, so if you do target C Like, is that all in there? I'm sorry, just track that.
We're still negotiating. We're still negotiating on the target C price. So yeah, so it'll.
Ballpark. You don't expect it to enter the bank.
No, I think we'll probably end up doing bank financing to acquire that because we'll have enough equity built up in the company that we can do it. $4 million cash. 5.2 times cash EBITDA. 5.2. You know, they've got reoccurring revenue with respect to their canning line. They've got a bad gin and a bad vodka, which is great for us because we're going to replace their vodka and gin with our vodka and gin. Turn around and give them a $1 million purchase order to co-pack our products for us in Ontario. So you know, they're $9 million in sales they did last 12 months. They're forecasting, and I haven't put it in our statements, they're forecasting $12 million in sales next year going forward. So you know, I think it's a fair price to pay. The management of the company is the one that's taking the $800,000 for the shares. Yeah, it's exactly right. We've got a management agreement in place where half the increase of EBITDA every year, half of that stays with the company, the other half goes to the management team, half of it in stock options, half of it in cash. So they're very much incentivized to increase cash flow over the next 3 years, and we'll have them paid off. Yes? $800,000 in shares, and we negotiated that price before the IPO, and so we valued our shares at 72 cents a share for that transaction. They took their accountants, we took our accountants, and said, okay, if we merge these two companies together, what's a fair price? And his accountants agreed with ours at 72 cents a share. The stock market's not reflecting 72 cents a share, but that's our LOI that we've got with the company.
And are you
Non-brokered. I'm sorry? Yeah, exactly. We want to close them on the same date. Yeah. Yes.
In our individual conversation, you said that the company was somewhat born out of the acquisition of an apple orchard. What's the scale look like outside of that one apple orchard? And I can stick with that.
So you know, my wife and I moved to Kelowna to retire. I've been a serial entrepreneur, retired 3 times, and we moved here, got an apple orchard, thought, hey, how hard can farming be? Farming is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's unbelievable. And when the snow hits the ground in the wintertime, it's like, thank God I don't have to go out there and prune anymore. So the apples that we have on our own orchard, we make another product with them, an exclusive product. So we have 300 Spartan trees, and from those Spartan apples, we only make our Adams Apple Brandy, and it's aged 6 months in an oak barrel, so it's very estate driven. Our other apples are ambrosia. We've got about 4,500 ambrosia trees. Those apples only go into our Forbidden Spirits Vodka, which is 50 times distilled. This is 25 times distilled. We make another higher end product that's 50 times distilled. We're completely sold out, and we sold that at $88 a bottle. So we're doing twice the production this year, and we're moving the price to $128. We get people coming in, tourists from mainly Asia, and their first question is, "What's the most expensive product you got?" And we say, "Our $88 Forbidden Spirit." They go, "Great, we'll take a case of that," because they're tourists. They don't want to walk home with a $15 bottle of vodka. They want the best they can get. So, sorry, fully answer your question. We have a contract with Sunripe, which is one of the biggest apple juicers in Canada. And so those apples that we grow on our estate are the ones that we sell through to our higher end product. The other apple juice that we use for our REBEL Vodka, we buy in apple juice concentrate form. That's a 1,000-liter tote. It's frozen. It's just like buying normal apple juice. We can't compete against Sunripe for juicing. Their cost of juicing is a lot less. Sunripe just got bought out by a big Quebec firm, so the juice that we'll be able to use in Ontario and Quebec will be the exact same juice that we can use in British Columbia. Yeah.
I was going to say, I came to vodka, but I continue to be impressed by your flavor. So here's my question. You're getting ready to launch, ready to drink beverages. I've done this before. It's not easy. Are you running an alpha canning line? It's not. Is the canning line fully integrated? Do you have purchase orders for the product? Do we have a real long-term plan ready to drink beverage line, or is that not secondary out?
No, it's going to be a long-term play, and it's going to be focused in Ontario first. So they've got the canning expertise. They've got the canning lines now. Yeah. They're making vodka sodas and gin and tonics right now for other people. So we're just slotting in as another one of their co-pack clients for them to make. Do you have a question, sir?
Just worried about your Apple trademark.
We haven't heard anything from that. You haven't heard anything from that.
Gas stations down the street, they're all have that exact same logo.
Yeah. Our lawyers have told us because it's used in conjunction with other images.
It works.
It works exactly. One more question? Yeah.
I presume we sent valuation. Presumably there was government employee.
Yeah, we were using 15 times.
Yeah. Which is what the programs were like.
They probably trade between 10 and 20 times, just depending on their growth rate. I sort of think a PE ratio should be 50% of your growth rate, and if you're growing at 60% a year, you could trade at 30 times PE. 30% a year, 15 times.
So 15 times.
Yeah, and absolutely, and their accountants agreed with that number, and our accountants agreed with the number, so it worked out. It works out okay. Well, thank you very much. Everybody come upstairs and, downstairs. I'm dyslexic as well. So thank you all very much. Thank you.